Good day, everyone. This is Junaid Khan, and I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and I am also representing clients to Immigration Refugee Board as well. The topic for today is an important topic, and it's a common misconception as well. We will be talking about three different things. Number one, a difference between an invitation and a sponsorship. So most of the time clients mix these things up, and I have to make them correct about it, and I feel like making a video so that it'll be easier for me to describe and then let them know how it works. Secondly, we will be talking about which are the categories where invitation is going to be needed and what are the categories where the sponsorship are supposed to be there. So we do not want to mix them. And in the initial part of the video, we'll be talking about the difference, and then we'll see where the invitation works out and the sponsorship works out. So first question is the difference between an invitation and a sponsorship. Most of the time in my consultation, whether people are applying for their visit visa applications, study permit applications, and immigration profiles, and people are talking about being sponsored by somebody or sponsored by a family, and they want to have a sponsorship letter and stuff like that. So what is an invitation and what is a sponsorship? Let's have a difference. So invitation letter, it is basically going to be good in the application to invite somebody from outside Canada for the purpose of meeting, for the purpose of having some time together, having a family over here in Canada. We can invite parents and siblings and family and relatives and friends and anybody who we want to come over, and we can have this invitation letter to their file. They can apply the visit visa application with an invitation letter from Canada to show that there is somebody in Canada who are willing to have them over and spend some time together, or if there is any emergency, or if there's any family gathering, we can also have an invitation letter for the wedding invitations. We can also have an invitation letter for, let's say, a graduation of a study of a student, and so many other things. So invitation letter is different from the sponsorship in a way that when somebody is providing, let's suppose I'm taking an example of myself. I am a Canadian citizen and I want to invite somebody to spend some time over in Canada in summers. Or, let's suppose I am graduating and I want my parents and my siblings to be together in Canada and have some time together. Or there's a wedding in Canada and I want, my parents and my family, my friends and other people want to join me on this situation. So I can basically provide them an invitation letter, but not the sponsorship letter. So the major difference in invitation and sponsorship is when you are inviting somebody, giving an invitation letter to somebody, you are not liable for their actions. If they come to Canada and they want to stay more, they want to apply for the extension, they want to change their category, the invitee doesn't have to do anything with that. You are not basically liable for the actions of the people who used your invitation letter and come over here. On the other hand, if you have provided a sponsorship letter, that means you are basically writing an undertaking with IRCC that the person I am sponsoring, I am going to be liable for them. Sometimes IRCC held you liable for their actions in Canada. For an example, a person you have sponsored come over in Canada, take a loan from Canadian banks, and now they're not paying back. So IRCC, according to IRCC undertaking, you have signed an undertaking that because I sponsored this person and I am liable for their actions, so the banks and other CRA will basically going to catch you for that, for their actions. So the major difference between is that in invitation letter, you are not liable for their actions, people who are coming on your invitation letter. And in the sponsorship letter, you are going to be liable because you are sponsoring them. Going forward to the next question, what are the categories invitation letter is going to be used? So answer to that question is, first let's go to the simple answer, the fixed answer, and then we can go a little bit of more details. So an invitation letter can be used in a visit visa application, a study permit application, or application to call. You can also provide a letter for your parents. You can also provide a letter for your relatives, your friends, and basically in the TRV applications. The invitation letter can be used in a TRV application, the applications which are supposed to be the temporary in nature and most commonly used in a visit visa application. So the visit visa could be anybody. If you want somebody, if your friends to be over, and if you want sort of your family, your blood relatives, your relatives, you can provide an invitation letter. There's another example of this invitation. This is supposed to be the personal invitation. If we look into how people come in Canada to attend the conferences, to attend the seminars, these organizations will also provide an invitation letter to the person who is supposed to be attending those seminar and conferences, to provide IRCC the information. That is sort of an invitation letter as well, that this organization, because you have shown interest, you have been in conversation, you paid their fees to be in their conference and seminar, so they provide you the letter of invitation as well to attend this. And end of the day, these are the organizations who are not going to be liable for your action as well. Now let's talk about where sponsorship is going to be done and what are the categories where people are going to use the sponsorship letter. So in regards to the sponsorship, we can provide the sponsorship in spousal immigration if somebody is getting married to a Canadian permanent resident or a citizen. That permanent resident or citizen is going to sponsor their spouse and the children, if any. If not, then the spouse. So in the family class application, spousal immigration is one of the main application where a person is going to sponsor the spouse or a common law or children, if any. In another application where people are going to sponsor the family is going to be the PR application. A person who's in Canada and recently get a permanent residency in Canada, they can now sponsor their family. Again, it's going to be the family class. Another sponsorship is like, when in a PR application, when a refugee claimant get a status of conventional refugee, applying for their PR application, they can sponsor their families from another country as well, their spouses and their children. Importantly, unlike US, Canada doesn't allow to sponsor the sibling. So when it comes to the sponsorship, there are only two relations a person in Canada can sponsor from outside Canada. Number one, their own family. That means their wives, common law partner, a conjugal partner. Again, it comes at the same category, and their children, if any. And the second category, the second person a Canadian can sponsor is their parents and their grandparents. So these are the only three relations where sponsorship is going to work. So if a Canadian permanent resident or a citizen wants to sponsor their wife, they use a sponsor letter, and they also write the undertaking about that. They are showing IRCC that we are going to be responsible for their actions. For a couple of years in Canada, again, the underwriting could be different in different categories. So even when in spousal immigration, there is an undertaking that you are taking responsibilities for their actions in Canada, as well as their financial stability as well, that you are going to be financially supporting the family you're calling to Canada in a family class. Secondly, if you are applying a sponsorship for their parents and grandparents, you also have to provide a sponsorship letter, and you have to show IRCC that you will be taking care of their financials and their actions as well, if any. So clearly, at the end, invitation it's something which A person who's providing an invitational letter not responsible for other person's action and not even responsible for their financials and their settlement in Canada, whereas the sponsorship, a person who's sponsoring somebody to come in Canada is also giving this information to IRCC that I'm going to be taking care of the family, the parents and the grandparents of the wife and children, and financials, and taking care of their financial liabilities and their financial goals as well in Canada. Thank you very much.